Hi, everybody. This is Jason.
And this is Pete.
And this is the Lost Legions podcast. And today we are talking to you about our top 5 hot takes on new shooting weapons for 2.0.
And to help us, we have good friend Ian, who's been on the show once or twice before. There he is. Hey, Ian.
Evening.
How you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Thank you for joining us. I'm just going to turn down my fan because it's making lots of noise and catching on the mic slightly.
That's me. No, I'm your biggest fan.
Yeah. There we go. Excellent.
Yeah, I want to count how many YouTubers go under their desk during the video.
The crotch fan. Everyone needs a crotch fan.
That's true. I actually do have one after it got really hot here. Anyway, you guys don't care about any of that. What you care about is the 5 greatest weapons in 2.0, and you want to hear Ian disagree with what I say. So, which is why he's here. Like, most people like a yes man. I like a no man. And so, that's exactly why we have Ian. Who actually has also read the rules, unlike Pete and I. So that's another big benefit of Ian. He will get the rules correct for you. Okay, so let's jump into this. Pete and I have previously talked about this, and we have kind of agreed about this. And this first one, I actually thought was interesting. I haven't used them yet, but Pete actually is really into them, and he'll talk about why. So, hot take number 1, Ian. One of the most improved and cool weapons in 2.0 is shotguns.
Pete,
that is not the reaction I was expecting. Yeah.
Pete, take us through why.
So, I've used most of this list that's going to come forward. I haven't used shotguns, but they have similar properties from some of the other weapons. But shotguns are a very cheap upgrade for a lot of independent characters, right? They don't take up any of your combat-y weapons either, so it's like you still have a preferred pistol or a boarding shield. You can still have a power fist or a thunder hammer or whatever it is you want, and you can still have a shotgun or like a bolter. It's in that category. And the main reason why is because of the concussive rule. Literally all you have to do is hit your opponent, and it forces a concussive test on that unit. Now, bearing in mind these models, you're probably going to want to be throwing them into combat to have a odd chance at helping to reduce their weapon skill from a failed concussive test could make all the difference. And it's just, you'll be BS5 with most of these models, so you roll in 2 shots with the shotgun, hitting on 2s. Doesn't matter if you wound, you don't care if you're not expecting to wound or damage anything. All you're looking for is fishing for that concussive test. And that is that, I think.
Ian, how do you feel about the shotgun hot take?
Before I talk about it, I'm just...
You want to talk about lightning claws?
Passive is... Yeah, leadership test. Yeah, so, didn't want to say incorrectly, but yeah, the fact that you can just force someone... So, if you've already forced out their, return fire, and then your character or random recon squad or whoever has them, I'm going to try and concuss the squad, and leadership being lower, if you had a herald nearby to force leadership even lower, it's like a herald with a shotgun.
Sounds ridiculous, but sounds great at the same time.
Oh, why not? Here's me with my banner and my...
Does
my
the herald cause fear? Is that the deal?
Yeah, so he causes fear. So it's... I agree. Shotgun is massive.
Is it 2 points? 2 points or 5 points?
But yeah. It's not a bad rule.
Yeah. Quite like it.
I mean, I haven't used it yet, but it sounds interesting. Like, Pete brought this to my attention, so I actually want to try it. And I actually thought it was a pretty good point, especially with the concussive. And also throwing it on a character, I was like, I would have never thought about that. It's a great chance for them to just hit somebody before they charge into melee and knock them down. So yeah, it sounds really good to me. Okay.
And as an Overwatch weapon as well. Drop them as they charge you.
Good point. Very good point.
It's really
yeah, that is good.
Okay, so jumping on to the next weapon in the hot take as to what is great, and again, I think this is another one that Pete brought up, is the Neutron laser on the Saber with concussive again, and again, kind of for the same reason.
Yeah, so the Neutron weapons as a whole, right? So you got Saber, Cerberus rather, and the Venator, Scarab Venator. Mm-hmm. Oh, and the Predator, can take it now. It's concussive, but it's concussive free rather than concussive 1 like a shotgun. So if you do manage to pull off the concussive result, you're reducing that weapon skill and ballistic skill by 3 rather than just 1. So that could be quite huge. It came up in a game. I'm sure you'll probably remember, Ian, like one of the games we played way like before the early play when the early playtest rules were sort of leaked and stuff. Do you remember? And
Yeah, but it also
Dreadnought.
came up. It came up last weekend or the weekend before when we were at yours at SummerSlam.
Did it?
Had the double Melter Leviathan. You sabered. Now he's only hitting on fives.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Or
Yeah.
Sixes.
And I did it actually against a guy at an event in Bournemouth as well. I concussed a Dreadnought as it charged my breaches, and my breaches then just kicked into the dirt because it was weapon skill 2. And it was able to just put enough hits on it to take it out. So you do that, but also with the Neutron weapons, you get the is it Shock Pulse, I think the rule's called, which is as long as you score a penetrating hit or a wound roll, irrelevant if that wound roll is saved, or the penetrating hit doesn't resolve in anything too fancy, it makes the opponent model snapshoot as well. So you're quite often going to make something snapshoot, and you've got a half decent chance at making a unit -3 weapon skill. So
it really can mess up people. I'm seeing a theme here, and this is something we actually talked about in a different game, and I think Ian brought this term up to me, but it was like status effects. Like, so all of these weapons that have different status effects that change people, like, and what they can do seem to be really good in 2.0.
yeah.
I'm gonna move on to the next one because, again, for the same reasons, and this is again one Pete and I talked about, and I think there are other weapons with this effect, but this is the first one that came to mind was the conversion beamer on Dreadnoughts might be really good because it has blind. And then Pete, you had brought that up, and so I don't know if there's any other weapons with blind I can think of off the top of my head for Space Marines though.
I think Sun Fury missiles on a what's it called? On a Lightning. Yeah, they can have them on the Lightning fighters. But that's it. I'm pretty sure that's it.
Yeah, I think the Gorgons get it as a special rule when you shoot them. But Conversion Beamers doing blind, again, is going to be pretty good.
It's a blind. The thing is I don't think it used to be... You just have to hit, don't you, to cause a blind test now, as with concussive. Yeah. So blind, for those that don't know, very similar to concussive really, but it just makes you weapon skill 1, ballistic skill 1. That's it. There's no negative. It's not like -1 or whatever, right? It's just flat ones, which is pretty impressive. Given the fact that that's on a potential strength 12 AP1 blast, it's quite a nice side thing to have. But that's me picking these weapons out because I quite like the way that the game can play like that. That's why I quite like all the little tricks and stuff, I guess.
Yeah, I thought that. But I just thought it was interesting. Again, and I'm not sure that this one is a super big change from 1.0.
Yeah.
But I think it's just there's a lot more status effect weapons now, basically, and this is an interesting choice. Ian, what do you think about this?
I think it comes down to the chassis. So the Neutron being that you were on about before is quite a cool weapon, fairly versatile, can one-shot some vehicles, and can affect Dreadnought. Brilliant. But then it's on a very flimsy chassis. So if you fail the concussive, if they don't fail their concussive check, that vehicle's, that maybe Contemptor or heavy weapon unit or whichever.
Yeah.
Probably is just going to kill your saber back.
Yes.
And yeah, it's quite cheap, but whatever.
Oh no, we're talking about the conversion.
But yeah, then the conversion beamer, on the other hand, is a similar weapon that's quite good, but then you can put it on a Contemptor chassis, which it's now, even if it only shoots 2 or 3 times, it's going to have effect, and they can't ignore it, and also can't easily kill it.
Yeah.
So it makes the weapon better because of the chassis.
Yeah.
And also, as before, like the Overwatch with the blind, they could be charging you and then just completely giving you a free whole round of combat.
Yeah.
And now your Contemptors hitting them on 2s because their weapon skill double. Their weapon skill 1, right? The enemy's weapon skill 1, so your Contemptor that's shooting them is
so now... you have a good chance. You're overwatching them, and you have a chance to actually make them
buff yourself. Yeah.
Well, especially if they're just initiative for Marines, right? Yeah. You got a 1/3 chance to actually blind them.
It's quite huge, really. Little side note, can the Alpha Legion guys still take The conversion beamer, the Terminators.
So yes,
The
the Linnæan Terminators, which are terrible.
Yeah, I know.
And can't take them. They're so weird.
You
This
wouldn't.
is for a different
You
show.
absolutely wouldn't.
I feel like you
they're
kind of need to.
I feel like if my quick hot take is if they drop the Linnæan Terminator points, they might be worth it. But they're super expensive for what they are, and they're just it's just not.
But that is not this show. That is not this show. That's not what this is about.
No.
If the conversion beamer, talking about chassis, could go on every single Lernian Terminator,
then it'd be fine.
then-
Yes. Yeah.
then you would consider it, right?
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
whoa, a heavy
Yeah.
destroyer squad. Like, that's cool. But no,
Yeah.
no, not on those.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Actually, yes. So Ian tied it back in and kept it part of this conversation because we're talking about conversion beamers
Dude.
on the chassis. It
Yeah.
depends. Yes, exactly. 100%.
It's the same reason why I'm considering a Venator rather than the Sabres, because the Sabres have been really fun to shoot at dreadnoughts, but all of the dreadnought, because the Sabres gun is only 24 inches, you're more often than not getting reactioned back at, and it hurts, right? Whereas if it's 36, you can stay out of the range of the big storm cannon gun on a Leviathan, Carey's cannons, a few multi-melters, there's a few other cannons then, guns that you can stay out of range of, especially with your fast movement and keep pissing off these dreadnoughts, basically. But, yeah, it's still a tank and probably going to die.
So
Yeah.
I'm going to move on to the next one.
Mhm.
And this one, Pete introduced me to Barrel First in our game that we played the other day. And I was very impressed with it. And it was the storm cannon on the Leviathan. And 2 storm cannons specifically, which was pumping out 12 shots.
Yeah, they're really good. I mean, if anyone considers taking double cyclonic mail lances, they're an idiot.
Oh, yeah! I forgot we had this discussion about it. Okay, so specifically, it was the rending 5-up that I thought was really good, and it just ended up putting so many wounds on things. Took out a Rhino, put a bunch of wounds on my Contemptor, and I had a Cyclonic Melt-A-Lance. I just had 1 though, not 2. But that's still 5 shots with the Melt-A-Gun in your hand, and I felt the storm cannon being really powerful. My personal lineup is that I think that if you have a close combat arm, the Melt-A-Gun is a better secondary weapon, shooting weapon. But if you're going to take a fire support, I was so impressed with 2 storm cannons. It just put out so many.
It did do a lot of wounds, didn't it? It did like 4 or 5 to a Contemptor 1 turn, 2 or 3 to a Leviathan, 2 or 3 to a Leviathan another turn. On the turn it died. It did a couple hull points to your Scorpius, and it did 7 hull points to a Rhino, which is irrelevant.
Yeah.
But that was every turn it shot, it was doing substantial wounds, which was good.
Yeah, I was really impressed with how many it could do. In a couple of turns of sustained fire, you could take out a dreadnought, and I thought that was really good.
What are your
Ian,
thoughts?
what do you
Ian?
What
think?
range are they?
Yeah,
24.
24.
That's
That's the kick in the teeth, isn't it? If it was
That's the
30, it would be like, okay.
give it 36.
Even 30, I think, would be like mirror it to the Culverins.
Then it's
The Caliph as well.
you joke about the Melt-A-Lance, but when we played that game at Warhammer Orgies that you've talked about before, and Will was on the other table with a single, and it was like he fires 4 melted, or yours even. Whoever had it. It was like, wow, 4 and his fist. Well, that's great. And then it was like, well, what's better than 4? 8. 8 is better than 4, and it's now this absolute monster. So I agree, the Storm Cannon has had a buff, as we were saying about melee weapons. It's had a buff and it's great, but it's outshone, unfortunately. I've used the Deredeo with his autocannon battery, and it was that sort of, this is quite a lot of shot, high strength, rending. Right, this is going to be irrelevant. Because it doesn't rend.
Yeah.
I'm not as impressed with the melted cannons though, because they reduced the strength from 9 to 8, and it's just to get in melter range you have to get in 9. I see what you're saying. I do not disagree with you. I just was more impressed with what they'd done with the storm cannons. They felt so much more impressive.
Yeah.
And again, I think I'd rather have than one storm cannon. I'd rather have a melta cannon than thermal lance on my Leviathan with my claw. But yeah, I mean, and I don't disagree with you. I think the 2 melta cannons is good. I just felt like the storm cannons were super impressive.
The fact that we're in different camps to a degree, and the fact that we're talking about it is a good thing, right? It's not just like like Contemptors. We can all agree, pretty much, right? It's multi-melters or las cannons, right? It's probably the way to go.
Yeah.
For sure. Like the others are just completely outshone. Like none of us are even mentioning the Grav Flux Bombard or whatever on the Leviathan, right? Because it's just pointless. We can all see that. But,
100%.
Yeah. So I like it's good. I am kidding. Obviously, 8 melter shots per turn and coming back at you is horrible. So there is definitely something there.
The storm cannons are cool. I just wish auto cannons were a little bit. Generally, like all auto cannon weapons were just generally better.
Yeah, I don't know how you'd make them better, but
and they did get better too.
Like, they all got better, but then like not as much as others seem to. So it's odd.
They're the Paragon blade of upgrades. No,
no, not that bad. Don't wash your mouth out. They're the power sword. Like
wash your mouth out. I like power sword. Actually, it's exactly what the fuck it is.
Maybe
that's cool. But
maybe if the auto cannons had like Brutal 2 or something.
Oh man!
No, I think make just give him more shot. Like
more shots.
8 shots a hand with the storm cannon. 16, like cool. 16 from this massive monster would be brilliant. It'd be really cool.
Yeah. Cool. So that's storm cannons.
All right.
But they're cool.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the last one, and this one will probably be not a surprise to anybody in this chat, and I doubt anyone will disagree. So unlike the other entry where we had some disagreement about it, we talked about it, which like Pete said, I think is good, because if there's different contenders for the same slots for different reasons, people talking about it, I think that means it's variety, right? Like it's good. I think that's very healthy. This one, I think everybody will be like, yep. And that is the Nemesis Bolter.
The Nemesis what bolter? It
sounded
like you were going to say piece of something.
The Nemesis Bolter. The sniper rifle. I always just call it the fucking sniper rifle.
You were going to say the Nemesis sniper rifle, weren't you? The Nemesis sniper rifle bolter.
The Nemesis Bolter. I caught myself. None of you saw that.
No.
This is very highly professional television. So yes, the Nemesis Bolter. It's pinning, it's rending 5 up, all precision shots, 72 inches, fucking kitchen sink. Like, your mom's in love with it. Like, the boys want to be it. The girls love it. Like, it is ridiculous. How do you two feel about it?
I think it's good. I think it's great. I think... Oh, it's such a long-winded conversation. Like... There's so much I want to say about it. I know. All right, cool. So my things are with it. 72 inches is not needed. It doesn't need to be 72. 48 would be fine. Maybe 42. Something like that would be fine.
Where do you get 42 from?
I don't know.
Like nothing's been 42.
All right, 45?
There's a bulk height weapon that's 42 inches. They're always weird ranges.
Or maybe like, I don't know, some sort of damage drop off for us. I don't know. Maybe they're just getting too... granular, right? Precision shots on everything. It's cool. Maybe just rending 6+ on it would be enough to like die it down a bit. I don't know. It's just a bit too good, but it's cool. We've been complaining literally since everyone's been playing Heresy about how trash sniper rifles are, and that what's the point? And now it's like, yeah, these are go-tos for sure. So. That's never good, right? Really. So it is a bit too much. I think it's the precision. I think the way precision shot works, as we spoke about earlier, the three of us playing video games, shouldn't. It should be like if you want to kill the sergeant, you should be saying how many of your guys are shooting that sergeant. I think it should be like that as well, because you end up just killing the sergeant and rolling the runes into other models. It's a bit...
I think this may be something we should jump into a little bit for people because we talked about it with Ian, and we've kind of worked out how it works. And I think Pete and I ran in a situation where, because everything is a precision shot, you're like, well, what am I going to do? Put all of my shots that hit on your sergeant? Well, then what happens when your sergeant dies? What Ian pointed out was that since the way it's intended is it's one dice at a time, you apply that dice to the model, and then he rolls the save, and then you do the next one, and then you do the next one. So I think what's confusing, and I think you brought this up, Ian, is that people are doing fast dice, and then it's just confusing.
This when you say intended, this is what it used to be. It used to be a slow dice game, and everyone played fast dice. And I'm inferring that that's the problem because they haven't specified.
Yeah.
Everything goes into a wound pool, and then you put. So normally goes into the wound pool, and then I've done 5 wounds to your unit, Jason. You now get to go. Do these 5 wounds on this model, and you roll until he dies. But when I do precision, I choose the model. You roll the dice.
Yep.
So
it literally says some precision shots instead of following the wound allocation rule or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it says. It says you choose which models are hit. So it's like, okay, so it's you allocate the shots rather than following wound allocation. So then I was like, well, do wounds keep spilling if it's not following the same wound allocation rule? You know, that sort of stuff. But
it just gets weirdly weird.
Yeah.
So like, I'll give my opinion now on Nemesis, if that's all right.
Yeah, perfect.
I agree with exactly what Pete's saying. The range is too much. The rending 5 is too much. So these are all compiled, like cutting all of these things, and the precision shot all together is too much.
It's also strength 5, by the way. We forgot to mention that.
Yeah. It's really the rending, though, right? For me, anyway, it's the rending because it's like, oh, that dreadnought, toughness 41, rending 5, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So the way I would like to see it would just put it as breaching.
Yeah.
And then you're not hurting infinite toughness on the same dice roll. Or you it's weird that precision weapon, the rifle makes you precision, but then you like a Mordathan squad or Mordathan, are they precision 4 or is that Headhunter? Whomever. They're like elite sniper murderer team, precision 4 up.
Yeah, that's the Headhunters, I think. Yeah.
So odd, but then this random recon marine who just had his 13 whatever organs put in is now the world's best marksman.
Yeah. And
it just seems very peculiar to me. But as the weapon goes, absolutely insane. Definitely run it.
Yeah. Run. The pinning is just.
FYI. Pinning. Yeah, I didn't even talk about pinning.
Yeah. Goodness gracious. Yeah.
Because you're forcing pinning checks, right? So like this has happened in multiple games.
And you're removing the high leadership of the unit if you want to.
Yeah, you pile all the shots on the sergeant. The sergeant dies, and then if it's just a regular squad, they go from 8 to 7, and then you're like, take a pinning check, and you're like, oh look, surprise, they're pinned.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty/horror of this weapon, I think. I mean, they're good. Take a squad of them. They're worth it. If you take all of them, if you take a squad, you're fine.
Don't take 3 deck chair units, like. Yeah.
If you take 2 deck check units, you're questionable, like me. They're Alpha Legion, goddammit, they would. And if you take more than that, I mean, take 5 to 10 sniper rifles, but don't take any more, or you're a dick.
If you take 50, if you play in Fury of the Ancients, just fight fire with fire.
Oh my god, that'd be great.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about Fury of the Ancients.
I've got 15 dreadnoughts. Cool. Remove 2. Next time.
Ian, so we've talked about mine and Pete's hot takes. What is your hot take? Do you have a weapon that we're missing? Do you think one that we overlooked? What do you think?
Can I have 2?
Go ahead.
No. I mean, yeah, obviously.
Okay. The best weapon that hasn't changed at all, the melting. The fact they removed Armored Ceramite, it's now gone from, oh, this is pretty good, it might kill a thing, to if you have 2 melter guns in your veteran squad, or 2 in a breacher squad, or wherever, oh dear, they better not have a tank near you, because it's killing.
Good point. Very good point.
Absolutely brilliant.
And
that's,
they've
like, the obvious.
improved Armor Bane as well, right?
No. Oh, because it re-rolls against Dreads?
Is it just Dreads? Is it Monstrous Creatures as well, isn't it? Or is it just
Yeah,
Dreads?
okay, yeah. So, no. So, yeah, big stuff it re-rolls.
Yeah.
But it doesn't re-roll against regular people, which is odd to me. But okay.
Yeah, it is kind of, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then the other is the Combi Grenade Launcher.
Oh, good shout.
Absolutely brilliant. Oh, everywhere you can. So the Crack Grenade, cool, Strength 6, AP 4, whatever, 24-inch. But the Frag Round is Strength 3, absolutely terrible, AP irrelevant, but it causes pinning, and it's a 5-point upgrade on your Terminator, your Veteran, your Rhino, and if you're not putting them on your Rhino, I don't know what you're doing.
You're putting a multi-melter on there.
And just buy 2 Rhinos with combi grenades instead of that multi-melter. But yeah, so like a Rhino with a Searchlight and a combi grenade launcher can just... So, night fighting. I'm going to use this Rhino to light up something. Brilliant. I'm actually going to now use this combi grenade launcher to pin that one. And now
potentially. They have to fail
potentially,
safe,
yeah,
right?
yeah, you try it, but
Yeah.
the opponent now has to worry about this stupid little Rhino that's just really annoying. Or this, like for me, I do it on a Terminator squad. Just give them power mauls for free,
Yeah.
and then a load of combi grenade, and you're going to roll a failed save at some point.
And you got cheap Terminators at that point too, right?
Yeah, they're only 175 with combi
And
grenade.
I think the other thing is that you can fire a combi weapon now. You fire both weapons.
Yeah, you can, but it's all about that grenade for me.
Yeah. It's nice to have the extra shots though as well, right?
Yeah, true.
Always handy. Cool. I think, yeah, I agree. Combi Grenade pinning is winning. So
Pinning is winning.
there you go. That's the
Well-
Iron Warriors list.
Well, thanks, guys. I think we've covered our 5 hot takes from 2.0, and we're going to see you in the next video.
Cheers. Bye.
Yeah.